And I will be talking about what attitudes, inner qualities, and skills we need and why. I intend to stay very simple, basic, and fundamental. Of necessity, there will be some repetition of the ideas, and that is to enhance the comprehension and experiential learning of the subject. So, as a co-traveler, I'm not able to move to the next slide. How to do that, sir? Well, so I am just being audio, sir. So I hope that this subject is interesting for everybody, and it helps all homeopaths irrespective of the approach that you take in the practice. And I also hope that even for our experienced brothers and sisters, it is of some value, maybe of reminders only. So, as we rightly understand that case taking is known as the heart of homeopathy, because if our input is not correct, we cannot do justice to the choice of the simillimum that we make. It is similar to as is known in computer science that garbage in is garbage out, and so we definitely don't want to put the garbage in. We want excellence to be there, and for this we need certain attitude, inner discipline, and qualities in us. More than developing some new and fancy skills, it is more about being mindful of our habitual patterns of thinking and relating and unlearning what is not helpful. So, I want to start by asking what do we understand by the word case? Dictionary says that case is any issue or subject that is under our consideration for which we need to find a solution, right? And in our homeopathic context, this means our patient who comes to us with some problems, some difficulties, some disease. And as Dr. Hahnemann described and explained, that disease is nothing but derangement of the vital force. So it is not something extra, it is the vital force. And the person who is in front of us is a manifestation of his vital force. So we have to understand this person, the uniqueness and the peculiarity of this person at the deeper level, which is manifesting as signs and symptoms in body and mind. For example, when a person comes to us and he has, let's say, acne on his face and lot of scarring on his face, so we can immediately see that this is the symptom and we can take this symptom. Similarly, if the person is having trembling of hands or having a limp gait or has hemiplegia or some swelling of the thyroid of the neck, so these are the symptoms that we can immediately take note of by perception, by seeing. But when it comes to the subjective symptom, let us take the example of acne itself. And let's say that this is a young person. So how these acne and scarring is affecting him or her is a deeper thing, is a subjective thing, and for which we simply cannot take the symptom from the face value. We have to help our person. We have to facilitate this person to go at a deeper level and then talk from that place. So subjective symptoms are a different ball game. Taking that thing is a different ball game. We have to help. We have to facilitate our person. So I will insist that at least for this session, instead of calling it case taking, I will call it case facilitation process. Because this phrase will more aptly describe what we engage in during a homeopathic interview. And the key of the central message of homeopathic facilitation process is that it is a human-centric, holistic process. So if we look at these words, one by one, the important words. Is my screen up? Can you see, sir, the screen now? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay. So it's taking a subjective symptom is much like, try to find a needle in a haystack. Try to find a needle in the haystack. So it's not a simple taking. So it's a more of a kind of a helping the person, facilitating the person, so that we can go at that deeper level along with our patient, and there we can take the symptoms. So it's taking is a little different than the word take implies. So I will be calling it the case facilitation process. And as I said, that this is a human-centric, holistic process. So let us look at these words now, one by one. First, I would like to go to the word process. So what is a process? If we look at the dictionary says that process is a natural phenomenon marked by gradual changes. So what are the important word here? Natural and gradual. The other definition says that process is a series of progressive and interdependent steps, right, by which we come to a result. So for us, the result is to find that deeper pattern, but the process is natural, gradual, and consisting of series of progressive interdependent steps. So what are the important words here? Natural, gradual, and interdependent. So when I look at this, the first word natural, what comes to your mind? Is the case taking process is a natural process, or it is a kind of a more of an artificial and synthetic thing? So my understanding is that if we remain natural during our case taking process, this gives me a hope. This gives me the confidence that in any human relationship, all human relationships are natural, kind of a thing happening for millions of years. And if we want our patient to stay natural and share his natural self with us, the best thing we can do is that we be a role model to him and be natural ourselves. So what it tells me that I need not to copy anybody else, that I need not to mimic anybody else. I need not to follow any other method. I can be very natural who I am with this person during the case taking process. The second thing is being gradual. What does it mean to be gradual? The opposite of the gradual is something abrupt that happens suddenly, like a switching of the button. So process is not something abrupt. Process is something very gradual which happens. So when we start our case taking with a person, so by asking a question, if our intention is that we will immediately find the answer, then probably we are doing a mistake. The understanding of the case kind of blooms over a period of time, just like a flower blooms from a bud, and it takes time. So it's not a sudden thing. So same way, we have to be natural, and we have to be very patient and trusting that this process will work, trusting that this process will give us the understanding about our patient, and we will find the remedy when the time is right. The third word is that it is interdependent. What does it mean? Interdependent means there are at least two people, and the process is happening between these two people. So this is the meaning of interdependent. Means if I let my patient lead the process of case taking, then I don't need to carry a checklist or a cheat sheet with me. I need not be prepared. I just need to be natural and trusting here. All I need to be trusting and follow and follow my patients and be interdependent on him. Is more like dancing with my patient, letting my patient lead, and I follow the steps along with the patient. So what case taking is not, it is not something fixed, it is not something artificial. It is not consisting of abrupt and random steps, and neither it is reactive. So what do we mean by reactive? We must be trusting the process. We must be having the patience and being responsive. So what is the difference in being reactive and being responsive? That is one of the very, very important thing to remember. You see, reaction comes from our habits, and habits are fixed. And as we said, that we must not be fixed, we must be natural. So although habits seem to be kind of a natural part of being human, but these are only habits which keep us, repeat the same thing again and again and feel the frustration. So being natural actually means that we are mindful of our reactive mind, that we are mindful of our reactive habits and not go from there. We acknowledge that this is my reactive, it is my mind which is working in a reactive way, and stop that, so that the right response will come, which will be taking the person deeper. So with this attitude of being natural, this attitude of being trusting, this attitude of being having the patience, we meet the person. So where do we meet the person? Do we meet the person in on the Kantian pitch, or we meet the person at the Bogart Bonninghausen's turf, or we meet the person at the sensation ground? No, we don't meet the person where we want or what is our favorite thing. We meet the person where she is. That is where we will find the right natural expression of the patient. So it tells us that very often one method is not sufficient. We must be conversant with more than one methods of case taking, and go accordingly where the patient is more comfortable, where the patient's symptoms can be found with greater ease. So the method is not of our choice, but it is according to the patient that we choose the method. So the other thing is that we have to facilitate the person from this place. We have to facilitate the person where she is and move further. So what is this facilitation? Let us look at the dictionary, what it says. What facilitation does to us? Facilitation gives us the central, if you see here, the central hub. So I say this is the basically one central pattern which is a hologram and which repeats everywhere else. If the periphery of this wheel we consider to be the particular symptoms or the expression, and these lines that are connecting periphery with the center are more like generals, physical generals and mental generals, and at the center is that one pattern which is undeniably present in more than one area. So if we have this central hub, and along with that in one or two areas, other areas, we can find the similar thing, then that gives us the very beautiful confidence, a great confidence that we are at the right place and we have found the right remedy. So let us look at this word facilitation. What is this facilitation which can lead us to this discovery? The dictionary meaning of facilitation is that it is the process of making something possible or easier. So I ask you, what is it that we want to make possible or easier in the case taking process? What is it that is not possible or which is difficult and we want to make it possible and easier? It is to understand the deeper pattern of the person. And why it is difficult or impossible? Because there is lot of resistance from the psychological processes. There are a lot of psychological defenses which stop from the deeper person to show himself or herself. And that is why we need to facilitate and make this process easier and possible for our patient. The other definition of the word facilitation, here's something very beautiful, and I would like to ask you to pay special attention to this. that this is the act of helping without getting directly involved in it. This is something so important for us, that we help the person to reach that deeper place without getting directly involved in it. So is this something new that I am talking about? No, no. Dr. Hahnemann said it when he said that all homeopaths must be unprejudiced observer. And what does it mean? When he said that we should be unprejudiced observer, he said that we should not interfere with the spontaneous flow of the patient, that we allow the patient's natural, spontaneous expression to flow without interfering. And other thing that he meant by this is that we don't interpret what we see or what we hear. Rather, just stick to what the person is saying. That is the reason that in Organon he says that we write exact words of the patient and not change them according to our dictionary, right? So Dr. Hahnemann was such a genius that he almost 100 years before the quantum physics said the same thing. In other words, quantum physics says that the observer changes the observation, right? Now let us see the connection. In our case, who's the observer? We, the homeopaths. And whom we are observing? The patient. So even the quantum physics is saying that we can change the observation. And do you think it will be a right thing or a wrong thing if we change the observation? Obviously, it will not be right thing, because then we will not get the deeper pattern which we have to match in our simillimum. Then we will kind of be sidetracked. So even physics is saying, quantum physics is saying that unprejudiced observation is necessary if we want to observe the real thing as it is, right? So for this we require human-centric approach, not my approach, not doctor's approach. I am not there as a doctor, not a special method that I have learned or I have seen in the last webinar or seminar, not my experience of that I had the similar patient last week or last month, nothing like that. What I need to be human-centric. And what is that? Why do we need to be human-centric? Because our simillimum is to be individualized, right? So it is not some new word. This is something that we know as homeopath, that we have to individualize. Let us look at this word individualize. Individual. What is the meaning of individual? The root meaning of this word individual is undivisible, something that cannot be divided, means something that is one whole, individual. But the patient who comes to us, he does not come to us as an individual. Who comes is a person. What is the difference in a person and individual? You know, the person, this word comes from a word persona, which means facade, which means a mask that people wear on the stage, right? And our person who has come to us, our patient who has come to us, probably wears many masks. And at home he is different, at work he is different, in society he is different, and probably with one of the masks he has come to us. So this is the persona, but where is the individual? If the person has come to us, how we will individualize our patient? If we understand this person, take his mental symptoms at the superficial level, we will not be able to individualize. Why? Because that individual is actually hidden, buried deep down, and that person is not easily available. It is like when the child is very small and all around, people teach him to do this, to do that. He lost touch with his own original pattern, his own original wisdom, how to be, how to live. And he become person to please his parents, because he has to get the love from his parents, he has to get the nutrition and warmth from his parent. So this individual gets buried deep down in the consciousness, and he learns to become a person at time, and then many person as he kind of grows up. So when we start with our case, our patient is like that, that there is a structure in front of us. We see that this is the kind of a medium built person, and that is how he is wearing his dress, and that is how his language. But who is the real individual inside? We don't know. And that is the mystery, that where we start. So our journey of case taking often starts like this, that initially we don't know what is our destination, where we are going. One step at a time, we kind of take our steps during the case taking process. So it's a new place for us. It is where we have never been before. There is no example which will fit and which will tell us exactly where we are going. So I ask you, if you go to a new place, some place where you have never been before, a new town, and you have short time, and you want to have the maximum value, you don't want to miss anything, right? And you want to visit this place as comprehensively as possible, what will you do? Isn't it that you will take a guide? You will take a guide, and in that guide, you will expect certain values, right? Certain qualities. So what are those qualities that you look in a guide? I say that these guiding skills fall basically under two heads, two major heads. One is that he should have the people skills. And what does it mean? People skills mean when I go somewhere and I look for a guide, I expect that this person will understand my priority. Maybe I am a food blogger. Maybe my need is to, find all local foods around the area. Or might be I have some historical background and I want to look the museum and places of historical importance. Or maybe, I have some religious intention. I want to visit some temple or mosque or something. So this person, this guide must understand my requirement. This guide must understand that what pace is comfortable for me. He should adjust his pace according to me. He should not make me follow his pace. This person should understand where I need to stop, where I need to use the washroom, where I would like to stop and do some shopping. So these are the people skills that I would expect in my guide. And what is the other category of the skills that I want in my guide? That he must know the place. Otherwise, why will I take a guide? I basically hope that the guide that I have taken knows about this place very well, where I have come, and he will show me around. That by the evening, he will show me every place, isn't it? So this is basically what happens when I go to a new place and take a guide. And now this person has come to us, and we have to guide his inner journey. And definitely his expectation is similar from us, that we must understand this person's need, this person's space, this person's language, this person's silence, and we must also know the place. So what is the place here for us that we must know? This is the inner town. This is the inner town where this person has probably never gone before. So we want to take this person in this inner town where we have also never gone before. But the good thing is that we have helped many other people to walk in their inner town. So that is our hope. We know that where people often stumble, where people hesitate, where they become scared, where they don't want to go further. We know all those things, so we can apply all these experiences with us, with this patient, so that we can take him in the inner town which is forgotten for him. In this inner town lives that individual who has been forgotten by this person. So let us talk a little about this forgotten inner town. So this is like, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. where probably in the excavation, lot of rubble will be found. There will be lot of things that are of not any value, not of any use, but mixed with that is something precious, and we don't want to break anything useful. We don't want to miss anything useful. We don't want to harm anything useful. So we have to take care of everything. In the case, in our case taking, patient gives us so many details, and in that detail, in that flow of detail comes one symptom which is important. So we don't want to miss this important thing, but for this we have to take care of all the rubble that we will find in the excavation of this inner town, and this person himself is not aware of the treasure which is lost inside him, in his deep in his consciousness. And so I would like you to kind of consider that this is the symbol of the human body. Okay. And this body is dead without animating. What is that? What animates the body? The vital force. So this body mind is basically animated by the vital force. And vital force is the command center of this body and mind, right? But, and when in health, right, in aphorism 9, Hahnemann says that when in health, the vital force rules with unbounded sway and retains all parts of organism in admirable, harmonious, vital operations as regards both sensation and function. But this does not happen. One of the important reason is that this does not happen is because we stop to listen to the vital commands of our vital center. And why it is so? Because here comes a villain. Here's the entry of a villain. As a child, we take birth in a family. We have our parents. And as I just kind of mentioned earlier, that these parents give us the toilet training. These parents give us the, food training. So rather than trusting my own vital center, I start believing in what comes from the outside. So there are people at home, there are people outside, and together, all of them kind of give me a different identity. They give me a name, they give me identity, they give me experiences, they give me the religion, and this social consciousness kind of becomes a secondary command center which eclipses, which obscures, which overlap the vital command center of my body and mind. And this social consciousness becomes my identity. And it's not only that we use this identity, we start believing in that. So the real individual, our real symptoms are far deep in the consciousness. So we need to wait. We need to patiently wait. Gradually, this social consciousness, details of this social consciousness will exhaust. And then the deeper vital self will start expressing itself. This vital force tries very hard to be heard. And because it is deep and we have stopped listening to the vital messages, we are always listening to what is coming from our society and what is coming from our own social consciousness. So this vital force tries very hard to be heard. And this vital command is pushed down, right? Pushed down. So what we see on the surface is a very small tip of the iceberg. Unconscious is unseen, but much more powerful, and is responsible for symptoms and suffering that the person suffer. And it is closer to the vital force. So how do we find the real symptom? Because this tip of the iceberg is just 10%. 90% is hidden inside, right? So we can understand why our task is so much tedious and special. So when the person comes to us, there is some problem, let us say the acne. So all that this person is talking about the acne and nothing else. He says, no, that is all, doctor. He does not realize that there is a lot more which belongs to this person. So he doesn't talk about that. All he sees that this my acne is the problem, right? So for her, this is the complete thing. This is the whole thing, and rest all goes out of her mind. So we can see it will be very good if our patient gives us all the complaints, in a coherative, in a coherent manner, and gives us all the symptoms. But often it comes mixed with, all the talks, maybe what the traffic he encountered while coming to our place, or the weather outside, or the coming election, or maybe the boss, or the wife, or the mother-in-law. So the person will talk of everything, and it will be very rare that he gives us all the symptoms, all his main complaints in a coherent manner. It doesn't happen. So all this is kind of a common talk, and all this common talk is like the common symptoms that we know as homeopath, that common symptoms don't lead us to the similimum. For that, we must look for something which is coming from the deeper place, that deeper orangish thing that you are seeing here. So that is symbolic of the vital force. So symptoms coming from that deeper place might be, those are the PQR that we are looking for, and which come suddenly, in all that common expression, he gives some PQR and we get that. Or there is some slip of tongue, unintentional use of words which the person didn't want to say but comes out, and that we understand, oh, this is coming from some unconscious place. Or the language, the way the person is using the language, that can give us the indication of which kingdom this person belongs to, or which subclass or superclass this person might be belonging to, or what kind of a personality, whether it's a temperamental classification. So I am not going in that, but I mean that language can give us the indication to put the person in some group, and it is a soft clue. Means we carry this, but we don't totally rely on it unless finally the similimum reveals to us. So it's a PQR, slip of tongue, language, and there is one thing more. We look for the gestures which have the energy. So these are the things which give us kind of a soft clue which might be coming from deeper vital zone, right? So these are the recurring words, maybe some ideas, some words, or the synonyms of the same thing, or this is something out of context. Like the person is talking about, doctor, yesterday I was going to the market, and I saw someone who met with there was an accident, and it reminded me something which happened in my childhood. So he has gone out of this time zone, out of context. This is something important. We would like to explore it. We would like to take note of it. So these soft clues might be recurring things, might be out of context thing, might be specific language, like is it structure, is it sensation, it is I versus you, is it animal, mineral, or plant. Some soft clues we can get. Or there may be some slip of tongue, as I said, or maybe some gestures that we get. So we require the whole thing. Dr. Hahnemann in fifth aphorism says that to find what is to be cured, we must find the physical constitution, his moral and intellectual character, his occupation, mode of living and habits, his social and domestic relations, age, sexual function, etc. Oh my God. After using all these, after telling that what and what, he's saying etc. What does he mean? Is it any less to find the moral and intellectual character of the person? Is it any less to understand the social and domestic relations of this person that Dr. Hahnemann had to use this word, etc.? Probably he meant to say that we cannot take anything for granted, that we cannot leave any stone unturned. It is not that every piece of rubble is important. Important is that we don't know where a PQR will come attached. So we must take the complete information about the patient, right? And not only complete, he asks us to use the same language and be very exact. So complete and exact, that is what we want to have in our case taking, right? And organon shows us the way how to be exact. What is the way? Well, to see things as they are. And what does it mean? It means to refrain from using our opinions, judgments, experiences, etc., and to be unprejudiced, right? Is the simple homeopathic keyword that we can never forget, to be unprejudiced. But what is the way to be complete, right? How we can be complete? I say there are two ways. One is, first thing is that you can never be complete. If you just consider this example of Big Bang, this is something that happened 14 billions of years ago, right? And it started the universe, and that universe is still not complete, it's still expanding. So we can never be complete, yet we need to be practically complete. Means even when we say we are complete and we find our remedy has not worked, then probably we will need to retake the case and we will find, oh, we missed something earlier. And that is none of your fault. The fact is that there is no limit to the completion. There is always something more. But to be practically complete, I say there are two ways. One way is to go around randomly or systematically and investigate each area, like physical and mental constitution and social and what all Dr. Neyman is saying, and all the systems of his body, his mind, his digestion, his respiration, his excretion, and everything, right? But there's a catch here, as I just said, that you may take all the symptoms you think makes the case complete, but there is always something which remains, and what remains is the important thing, because that was the key thing to find your simillimum. So there's one way is this, that we go systematically from our method, and when we do this, the harm is that we get distracted from being human centric. Then we are becoming more method centric, right? We don't want to do that. So the other way is to be human centric. And what is that? The other way is that Dr. Hahnemann said, probably it is in the aphorism 7, that he said that disease demands and points towards the remedy needs for healing, right? So it is the vital force, which is nothing but the disease is nothing more but the deranged vital force. So vital force demands and points towards the remedy it needs for healing. So Hahnemann is saying that if we are listening, so this vital force is demanding and pointing and showing us. There is one other great personality, and his name is Carl Jung, and he said about consciousness, he said that our whole unconscious is an uproar from the God who wants to know and be known, right? So this unconscious, which is the deeper individual, wants to be known. So do you think if we are really serious and invested in understanding, will it speak to us or not? This inner consciousness, this unconscious wants to be known and wants to know. What it wants to know? That the person to whom I am talking, is this worthy of understanding or not? Is he serious? Is he interested in me? Or just a kind of a, trivial attention? So if we are serious, if we are really listening to this inner self, this unconscious, this hidden town, this hidden individual will speak to us. So the message is to trust the process, that it will speak. So it's like exploring the other unconscious areas which are lying there, and these areas are childhood, fears and phobias, dreams, hobbies, special talent, stressors, sensitivity, etc. So these are the unconscious area which can yield the important information for us to reach at that place where we find that healing code that we call the simillimum, right? But trusting this unconsciousness to tell us about everything, we must remember that this is a shy bird. This is a very shy bird. This unconscious does not speak to everybody and everyone. Probably it's been years for him that he has not spoken to everyone. Is a very shy bird. So, how to relate with this shy bird? We must win the trust of this guest. We must win the trust of this melodious guest so that she feels okay to talk with us and she feels okay to tell those things which she finds probably are embarrassing or not rude, not right, probably in some way feels guilty, or all those things which as human we find difficult to say, right? So we need to win the trust of this inner guide. And one wrong step from our side, and this guest is likely to fly away. We don't want this. So we have to be very patient, very understanding, and then using being present with this person in a way so that our engagement continues as long as we have not found what we are looking for, right? So relating with this shy bird, if we win the trust of this bird, then this bird sings beautiful simillimum song. And so it gives us the depth also. In the case earlier we said exact and complete. Now one more dimension is added, that we must be exact, complete, and have the depth of the case. Right? For this we need to have patience with our patients. And one thing that pays us, without which it is simply not possible, is to have the connection with our patient. This is the one word probably which is the essence, which is the life force of our case taking when we want to go deep. Connection means what? Connection means when the patient really feels, oh, I am being heard, I am being understood, oh, I am not being judged, oh, it's all right to tell, I can tell. So maybe initially there is hesitation, but when that trust continues and this connection continues, then the person starts telling us, and then we let the patient lead and we trust the process. And then it is here that the individualization begins, because now the person is showing us the path of the inner town. Then it is not that we are taking him in some direction that we fancy, but it is the person who's taking us in the inner world. And then we listen with care, listen with attention, encourage the person, facilitate the person, like all those things that we have talked already, and take care of the sensitivity of this person, the level of experience where this person is, the language that he is speaking, the tone of his voice, the pace of his expression, and we go with the flow. Maybe the person is not talking about himself. Maybe the person is talking about his father-in-law or his, boss. It is all right. We allow that, because this person, whosoever he talks about or whatsoever he talks about, is only about him. So we allow him. It is rather easy if the person is talking about some third person to stay there and let him talk, so that there's more and more uninhibited expression comes, and we understand that this is basically person is talking about himself. So we take care of all these things, and we remember that initially we have to come to the case taking session from a place of peace. We need to leave everything behind, anything that is about the last case or about my family affair or something I have to do tomorrow. Leave everything, be peaceful, then have the purpose. Everything during the case taking is to be purposeful. The big purpose is to understand the deeper pattern of this human being. Maybe maybe I find the remedy during this session, maybe I don't find the remedy during this session, but have the patience and see what possible leads come during the interview. And from those possible leads, pick one or two which is more promising, and then position yourself in a way so that the engagement can go further. Take care of your pace. When the person is slow, when the person is gentle, you cannot be abrupt and fast. When the person is fast and energetic, you cannot be slow and energyless. So you have to match. You have to pause where it is necessary, and you have to persist. Once you know that you have found a focus, you have found a focus which is the doorway to that inner place, then you persist and find what is peculiar over there. So initially it may look like, a turbulent water, muddy water when you start, and all you need to do to have the patience. And with patience, things settle down. You know what is more important, where to find the focus. So every important person from the history has something or other about this thing, that it is only when you are silent that you can really listen. It is only when we are silent, only then we can really listen. Otherwise, it is only our own chatter that we listen to. But the fact is that we are human beings. And as a human being, our mind is full of, all those chatter. Like while taking the case, we think, oh, it's sure, it's sure. It is it's like pulsatilla and nothing else. Or something from my family, what happened yesterday. Or this person reminds me of something, and my mind goes there. So my mind is full of so many things. That is just being human. All of us are like that. But the thing is, when our mind is divided in so many things, then we are not listening. Then we are not able to listen. And there is no use fighting this noisy mind. Then what to do? When you find yourself that there are thoughts and ideas and suggestions that your mind is giving and it is persisting, then the best thing that you can do is that become silently aware of this distraction. Not fight with it, just see that it is there. Oh, it is just like, when you are, suppose, going on the road, driving a car, and you see a red light. So do you say it in your mind, it is red light? No, you see it and it makes sense that you have to stop. So same way, become aware silently. Don't say it in words. Silently aware of distraction and gently detach. Just like something not important, just like you are watching on the road and there is a puddle. Do you walk into the puddle? No, you silently detach and take a detour. Same way, say thank you to this thing that is inside. Say, oh, I have noted. And might be you note also somewhere on your notepad that, oh, it looks like pulsatilla or something. So become silently aware, gently detach. So initially, all those, disconnected dots that you find throughout the case, your purpose is to find the focus. Find the focus where you can enter and persist. So if I try to summarize the whole thing, is to stay focused. When you reach here at the focus, stay focused. Stay with this thing. Now delete everything else. Don't let all those 15, 20 things that you saw here. You have found a focus. Now stay focused here. Delete everything, remove everything else, and have the trust that you must go in the same direction. It will work, and understanding will bloom. The clarity will come. You need not to worry. You need not to hurry. Just flow with the unfolding pattern. Adjust your pace, adjust the tone, adjust the energy, and get the focus. And ask the person to stay here. Ask the person to describe what is there. Just see what is there, stay with it. So, how it looks, so how it feels, just stay there. Ask her to describe. Describe what is. Initially, it will be small detail, but if you persist and continue, the details will increase. It will fill the gap, and soon we will find that we have the picture that we want for, and for which our whole case taking was, the intention was that. So, thank you very much. I want to stop here. Hello?
Yes, so anyone have any question you can ask. Okay. So we have a nice talk by Dr. Manoj Sachdev
Ji sir.
about how to do case taking with very typical way of sensation method where you can do or unfold a deeper pattern. So it was a nice session.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.